How's it going, friends? On today's video, we're looking at a great suburb in the southwest of the Twin Cities on one of the best recreational lakes in the Twin Cities. Let's go. How's it going, friends? My name is Jesse Lynch and I run the hardest working real estate team in the game. We're called To the Twin Cities, and you can check out our website, tothetwincities.com. But this YouTube channel, it's all about helping you find a place to call home or trying to find the right buyer for your home. Relocations and the sickest listing videos and listing, presentation of your home to the public. That's what we do, and that's what we do better than anybody else. So if any of that appeals to you, then do me a favor, do yourself a favor, subscribe to this channel. Click the bell to get notified so you can see when we're putting these videos out. And if you want, give the video a thumbs up. I would appreciate that very much. Any kind of comment also very much appreciated. And if you want to work with us, get a hold of us. We would love to help. Again, go to our website, tothetwincities.com. We have a contact form there that you can fill out in like 30 seconds or less, or you can shoot us an email directly to info@tothetwincities.com. It's totally up to you how you do it. They lead to the same spot, which is basically our inbox. So no preference, honestly. Just do whatever feels good to you, and we'll get after it. We'll start going, and then we will take it from there. We know what we're doing. You're in good hands, promise. I'm very excited to share today's video with you. We're talking Prior Lake, Minnesota. Right now I'm in Lakefront Park, which is somewhat aptly named. It is right at the edge of the lake, albeit there's not much lakefront in the park itself. It is kind of situated there, but it's a sweet park though, nonetheless. It really is like a massive piece of land, especially for being, municipal park based. Right now I'm in the basketball court. There are two outdoor hockey rinks. There's a ton of soccer field space, volleyball courts, a band shell over here, a pretty epic playground somewhere up there, skate park back over here. You got gazebos and picnic tables and trails that actually do lead to the lakefront. They do. They're not lying there. And you have some smaller water features like this right here. This is just the start. Prior Lake has a lot of awesome things about it. So what do you say? Shall we? Right now we're at Howard Lake Park, and this is basically a small neighborhood park, but it's surrounded by really, really beautiful houses, and it's just such a pretty area over here. And Prior Lake, geographically, like I said at the top of the whole video, it's in the southwest corner of the Twin Cities. I don't know about corner, southwest of the Twin Cities, and we're about 30 minutes to downtown Minneapolis, about 35 minutes to downtown St. Paul, and maybe 25 or so minutes to the airport. It's a pretty steadily growing suburb, as it is on the edge, and that tends to be where the path of progress is occurring all throughout the Twin Cities metro. Population right now is 29,000 people, and it's grown by about 5% since 2010. For a long time, Prior Lake had a little bit more of an identity as like a small town, right? Not really a suburban style of life until probably after the 2000 mark or so, when you start to see all the houses all the way around me, and quite a few more that have come up since maybe around late 90s, early 2000s. If you watch my video on sort of luxury suburbs in the Twin Cities, this is actually one of the spots that we included, and as sort of hey, like maybe this isn't going to be what comes to mind for most people when it comes to luxury, but there are some pretty legitimate luxury options out here, and it's all about the lake life here in Prior Lake. There are 3 main lakes that serve the Prior Lake area. That's a funny way of, that exist within the Prior Lake area. That's Lower Prior Lake, Upper Prior Lake, and Spring Lake. And again, I'm pretty close to Spring Lake where I am right now. And the houses that actually have frontage on any one of those lakes, as they are basically a chain, they can get very impressive, beautiful, and certainly on the luxury end of things. Although there are also fairly modest homes that have frontage on Prior Lake. It's interesting, as the demand sort of ramps up in Prior Lake, you are seeing, you know, it's more likely to see a more modest, albeit maybe perfectly livable, perfectly acceptable house, maybe even nice to some people. Those houses can be getting raised, scraped, whatever you want to call it, and replaced with newer, bigger, more luxury style homes. You're not going to be getting any kind of, you know, super high-end elite schools as far as the public schools here go. I say it all the time, but Minnesota schools are really good compared to so much of the rest of the country. The main school district that serves Prior Lake is the Prior Lake Savage Area Schools, which is, again, good by most people's standards, but not in the top 5, not in the top 10. It's actually ranked 31st highest in the state, but you will still see that the schools get pretty good ratings, which speaks more to Minnesota schools overall. What are the odds somebody starts leaf blowing, you know, on a day where I'm shooting, of course. Speaking of schools, we actually just started a new channel. One of my best friends in the world, Bradford, is the one sort of in charge of it, making the videos, doing the research, and it's all about schools in the Twin Cities. Again, as a team, our whole goal is to be helpful to people who are trying to find the right place to live for them, for their family, for their relationship, or for just the solo individual, whatever it is. And so we decided to make a whole other resource all about schools called Schools in the Twin Cities. So if you haven't done so yet, go check out that page, and I'll put a link in the description. Truly, who is trying to be more helpful than us, right? I'll wait. When it comes to schools, Prior Lake is served by Prior Lake High School, that gets an A-. Shakopee Senior High School, that gets an A- as well. Middle schools, you have Hidden Oaks Middle, that's an A-. Twin Oaks Middle, that's an A-. Elementary schools, Westwood Elementary School, that gets an A. Loyola del Lago, I think that's how you say that, at Grainwood, that gets an A-. Jeffers Pond Elementary, A-. and Five Hawks Elementary, that gets a B+. There's also at least one charter school, Aspen Academy, that gets an A. Like everywhere else, prices here have gone up quite a bit in the last 3 or 4 years, but really in the last 20 years, as the demand has grown, as it has become a little bit more suburban, a little bit less small town, you're seeing the prices go up quite a bit. But that also leads to the fact that there's a huge range of housing stock here. Right now, there's the cheapest house on the market is $220,000. The most expensive is $3.987 million. So that is a gigantic range. Of course, the $4 million place is on the water, it's on the lake. And again, one of the most recreational lakes in the Twin Cities. The median sale price here is $586,000, and you will see that because of its history, because of just how it started as a small town, the ownership levels are sky high here. 84% of the people who live in Prior Lake own the home they live in, or live in a home that is owned by whoever lives there, I guess, if that makes sense. And only 16% of the people who live here are renting. I'm gonna head over somewhere else. We're gonna talk through pros and cons, but how beautiful is this neighborhood? Like, these houses are just really, really, really nice. All right, let's go. Y'all, this is back here, this is basically the waterway that connects Lower Prior Lake and Upper Prior Lake. This is a busy road, so I apologize for for the road noise. But I think it's interesting, like how it's a chain of lakes. We have several of those in Minnesota, and they tend to be some of the more favored recreational lakes because of, I don't know, just how much lake there actually is. But I want to talk through the pros and cons of Prior Lake as I see them. And pro number one, it's probably pretty obvious, but there's a lot of very, very beautiful natural areas here. I'm gonna try to get away from this this road a little bit. We have a little bit of a park space over here, a dock that is also, you know, a fishing pier. But for sure, Prior Lake has a lot of beautiful natural elements to it. Pro number two, the good schools. Again, not in like the top 5, not in the top 10, but very, very good, and pretty much it mostly in the B+ to A- range with a couple A's thrown in there. Pro number three is that you actually, for being kind of a newer suburb, there's a pretty good amount of suburban amenities, whether it's within the boundaries of Prior Lake or, you know, just to the north in Savage or something like that. I'm kind of a nerd, but I don't know if you can see back here, somewhere right up there, there's just pretty much an endless stream of birds that appear to be migrating. And yeah, I don't know, that's neat. And another thing I really like is that you have the suburban amenities, but you do have that cute, quaint downtown. It's a small downtown. As far as the older downtowns go, it's not like maybe on the same level of an Excelsior or a Stillwater or White Bear Lake, but it is cool, and it has like a very cozy feel down there. Pro number four for me is that there's a very diverse housing stock. So you have a good variety of houses from, again, very, very affordable in the maybe mid 200 range to very, very impressive up at 4 million, and a good amount of luxury style homes, but then also, you know, yeah, quite a few, but then also a solid inventory of more of that, like, you know, normal middle class income kind of a range. And not just prices and not just sort of years built, but you have new builds, right? And then you have pretty old houses from, you know, probably back to the early 1900s, sometimes a few of them. And then you also have small, more city lot style houses, and then some houses with some proper acreage. As I walk through here, just like, how beautiful is Minnesota in the fall? This is all like private back here, but look, this path, so pretty, such a fan. Another pro, and actually I don't know if this is a pro or a con, I'm gonna let you decide. So you have access to Mystic Lake Casino and Little Six Casino. I don't know, I'll be honest, I'm gonna put that right as a neutral. I don't care about casinos. I don't find them very entertaining at all, but I understand that some people do. Some people like to be able to go do that kind of thing. And you could go see a show, comedy, music, something like that. So maybe for that reason, it ekes a little bit more towards a pro, but I don't know. Casinos, not really my thing. Con number one is that it's pretty expensive. Median sale price is quite a bit higher than the median of the Twin Cities Metro. That's just pretty much undeniable. Although there is, again, that more affordable housing stock. But to get like anything particularly inspiring, you're gonna pay a decent amount for it here in Prior Lake. Con number two is that it's 30 minutes to the downtown, 25 minutes to the airport. That's kind of in that range of tolerable, where I don't usually count that as a con, but it's far. It's like just on the cusp of where I'm like, yeah, it's kind of far out there, kind of removed. And then last con, and this is a little bit more of like just a bone to pick, that it's like a personal thing that I don't like about Prior Lake, is that so much of the natural beauty, right? These lakes are unreal. They're beautiful. There's so much of what makes it great to be in Prior Lake, but the public access to a lot of these natural elements isn't what it should be, in my opinion. For being such a large piece of land with so much water, I think there should be more public access to things like that. I don't think it would have been that crazy. I don't think it would have required that much foresight to provide a little bit more public access to those things. And honestly, if you look at a map, go to Google Maps, turn it to you know, more of like a satellite view, and zoom in. Anytime you see the little park icon, zoom in, and I bet you'll be pretty surprised how many of those are private parks or parks without parking lots, or just little park spaces that are like intended for neighborhoods, which if you live in that neighborhood, cool. But I don't know, I just think it feels kind of keep out and not very community based, and that's, I don't know, personal gripe. One thing I say about Minneapolis is that whoever designed the city decided very early on that so much of the lakefront would be public space, and I think that's something that more cities, more municipalities should take note of. But in fairness, there are some very cool lake homes here. So, you know, if you want a lake home, I guess having the private lake shore is pretty cool for that reason. Sandpoint Beach, and I think this is probably the most accessible spot to the lakes here in Prior Lake. It's a beautiful park, good parking, right, all that, good playground, and then yeah, a lot of beach, and it's such a nice night right now. I'm shooting this in October. It's kind of this like last swing that that summer's trying to give us. It's such a great evening. Great sunset going on behind me, and yeah, this is what it's about, right? And this specifically is what so much of the pull of Prior Lake is about. You're super after the lake life, right? The maybe owning a home on the lake, or at least having proximity to beaches. Maybe you like the idea of owning a, you know, motorized boat, jet ski, that kind of thing. You're gonna need to be on one of the recreational lakes that it doesn't just allow canoeing, kayaking, paddleboarding. I know those are recreational as well, but you're gonna need a place that will allow you to have the motorized vehicle, right? And Prior Lake is one of the best in the Twin Cities. And I want to talk about some other spots that might be like Prior Lake. And by the way, I'm doing a whole other video on best areas for recreational lakefront. That'll be a whole different video. I don't think I'll be walking around. I think I'll be just diving into a map because they're kind of all over the place. But nonetheless, if you're interested in that, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so yet. And we're gonna do a little bit of a series about, you know, owning on a lake, owning near lake, that kind of thing. So make sure you subscribe. But before we dive into that for fans of section, where we're talking about other places that you might want to consider if you like what you see here in Prior Lake, I would like to say that if you want to work with us, reach out and we would love to help. I promise nobody will work harder for you than we will. You can go to our website, tothetwincities.com, or you can shoot us an email directly to info@tothetwincities.com. All good, they lead to the same spot. And yeah, we know what to do. We do this all the time. We help people like yourselves who are moving from somewhere else, who are moving across the metro, whether you are buying or selling. I promise you, we will crush it for you. And I think the closest place to Prior Lake that I can think of in the Twin Cities Metro is White Bear Lake, which is on the other side of the Twin Cities Metro. It's a northeastern suburb, really great recreational lake, beautiful area, cute small downtown, really has a lot in common. So White Bear Lake is, I think, the closest example. Next, this might seem strange, Elk River. It's not on a lake, it's on a river, but it does have some great waterfront, and there are a lot of things that people like about it that I think feels similar to Prior Lake. for one, has a pretty long history of being a small town and not a suburb, and only more recently has begun to feel a little bit more suburban. So a lot of the houses are going to be more built in, you know, 2000 or later, or maybe more like around the 70s. So kind of had a little stint where it was growing, and then, you know, not much growth until the 2000s when it became a proper suburb. So definitely Elk River, I would say, is worth considering. Big Lake is just out there too. Big Lake, good recreational lake as well. And then the other three are nearby and have a lot in common. So Lakeville. Lakeville feels more consistently like the higher end and the new build side of Prior Lake. Although Lakeville does have a quaint downtown, Lakeville does have some older homes. Most of the houses in Lakeville now are built after probably 1995 or so. Also, Lakeville has top 10 schools, and it's just a really, really beautiful area. So check out Lakeville. Next to Chaska and Savage. And Chaska and Savage are right next to each other. They're really, really close to Prior Lake, and so geographically extremely similar, but also topographically quite similar, except for the fact that they don't have quite this large of a lake situation. I gotta say, it's just occurring to me now how much I don't need these glasses if I'm looking that way. It's like I was actually borderlining on dark. And honestly, there are more that come to mind. We have a whole other video, not just the lake video. We have another video coming out about best small town. So if that's something you like, again, subscribe to the channel, and no matter where it is in the Twin Cities that you want to move, we got you. If you got a house to sell anywhere in the Twin Cities, nobody will show it off like we will. We'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.